Hi, I'm making this short video just to tell you very briefly how I became a Christian. I grew up in a Christian family. My parents took me to church from when I was first born, and it was a really lively church that we went to, and it was one that I found quite an exciting place to be because the people there really believed that God was present with us when we met together. They believed that he could heal, they believed that he would speak to them, so you never really knew what was going to happen. And I really felt the presence of God in that church, particularly during times of worship. So I never really doubted that God was real, but I didn't have a personal relationship with Jesus myself. I just believed what my parents believed. So when I went to secondary school, I began to live in a way that I knew wasn't right. I just wanted to be popular, I wanted to fit in, and I really drifted away from God. But there was one Sunday when I went to church and it felt as if the preacher was speaking directly to me. In their sermon, it was almost like they had prepared the message especially for me, and I felt like God was speaking to me. It was a passage from the book of Deuteronomy where God is telling his people that there are two choices before them. The choice to live in a way that leads to life and prosperity, or to live in a way that leads to death and destruction. And then the passage ends with the words, choose life. And I really felt that that message was for me, and I wanted to choose life. I wanted to go in that direction. I wanted to follow Jesus, but I didn't feel like I could. I felt like I didn't have the willpower to give up the things that I was doing. I was worried that I would lose my friends, and I just didn't feel like I was strong enough. I looked around at the Christians in my church and they seemed so holy, and I just didn't think I could live in that way. So I didn't really do anything about it. But two things happened that changed that. Firstly, God spoke to me again, and it was just like a thought dropped into my mind, and it kept kind of buzzing around my head, and it was the words, I will suffice. And I think God was saying to me that whatever else happens, I am all you need. And the second thing that happened was that I began to read the Bible. So my whole life I'd had a Bible on my shelf, but I'd never really seriously picked it up and tried to read it. So I began to read through the Bible, and over the course of about a year or so, I read it from cover to cover. And during that time, God spoke to me in loads of different ways. But probably most significantly, I began to understand what grace was. And I realized that I'd got the message of Christianity mixed up. I thought that I needed to become holier so that I'd be acceptable to Jesus. But actually the message of grace is that Jesus has already done everything necessary so that we can come and follow him. That actually nobody is holy enough, that we all fall short, and that's exactly why we need Jesus. So at about the age of 17, I decided that I was all in, that I was going to follow Jesus, that I would commit my life to him, and I've tried my best to do that ever since. And I can honestly say that I feel like I've got a long way to travel along that road, but through it all, I know that those words have been true for me, that God will suffice, that he is everything that I need, and I believe and I trust that whatever else happens in my life, that God is enough.